Okay, hello friends, this is Yusuf here. Welcome to the new series of videos. So it's been a long time we touched Python. So what I thought of doing a small series about Python Flask web framework. Okay, so Python, we all know that it can be used for multi-purpose. One of the thing is web application. So Flask and Django are the two web framework which is being used mostly for creating the web application in Python. So today we're gonna see some of the Flask things. Okay, so why Flask is because Flask is actually a micro web framework, which means that we need just like 5 lines of code to get started. Okay, and comparatively it's very lightweight, and we can get started easily, learn quickly. But Django on the other hand is having its own framework and a set of rules to be followed. So it's kind of a bigger thing when compared to Flask. So let's start with Flask. Maybe we'll see Django later point of the future. Okay, so again, so in my previous Python crash course, right, so we have seen all the basic concepts. See, if you are not familiar with that, I'll give the link in the description for the full playlist. You can go and then watch it. So I'm assuming you know Python basics, so we're going to see Flask. So Flask is one of the library, so we can directly install using a pip module. So before I go into that, right, so if you want to start writing some code, right, even if you don't have Python in your system, then you can go to REPL Python. You might be already know that we are using this for our basic tutorial as well. So it's an online editor on which you can write Python code and then see the result. So if you type REPL Python 3, you will get the link. The link will look like this. Okay, so here I'm just going to start writing a basic Flask application, and but just the basic one. Okay, after that I'll show you how we can do the same in our desktop, and we'll continue with our coding in the desktop. Okay, so here let's start. So the first line of the code will be like from Flask import capital Flask. Okay, so obviously we are not installing a Flask in this terminal or in the web terminal, but this REPL will automatically install the necessary package if it is not available. Okay, so we need to think about it. Anyway, so this is the first line. After that we need to create a variable called anything. So by convention it's called app. Okay, so app is equal to the capital Flask. Okay, inside we need to pass it something like this name. Okay, then now this app is actually our Flask variable. After that I'm going to create one endpoint, and using that it's going to return some value. So for that we have to use at app.route. Okay, route, and the route is slash, and then if this matches we're going to execute a function def. You can name any name you want. By default it's a index, we call it as, and we'll return hello. So this is our basic Flask code. Okay, to make it work, what we need to do is simply call app.run. Okay, so in desktop maybe it will work, but since it's a cloud version, we want to see the result in the web browser, right? So we need to bind the IP. So we don't know the IP of this REPL, so okay, we cannot give the IP. Instead of that, we have to give the default host. So which means host is equals to 0.0.0.0. Okay, then the particular IDE or this particular REPL will bind the actual IP into this application. Then port equal to 8080. So this REPL supports only 8080 for Flask. Okay, but in your desktop you can give any port you want. So let's see when I'm going to run this one, what's going to happen. So you can see it's installing the fresh packages for the Flask, because by default it won't be available, right? So it's taking some time. Fine. So here you are seeing the result also here. Okay, no need to think much about this URL, because it's a auto generated URL for this REPL. We don't need, but what is important is we are accessing this because there is a slash here. By default the browser slash is the default endpoint, right? And we are seeing hello, and also that here you can see the server is running, this hello is coming here. So if I tell something like we can also do markup here. So h2. Okay, so if you just I'll open it in a new tab. Okay, so if you just restart, . Okay, you are seeing it's in a bold thing. Okay, and you get the convention, right? So whatever the endpoint you want to create, so if I copy this, okay, I want to create a slash about endpoint. Okay, then basically what we need to do is we need to mark this as a about endpoint and give any name you want. We can give about and say it's actually a about page. Okay, now we can get this about page thing if we are going to the slash about endpoint. So if I go here slash about, okay, okay, so I think it's got changed. Okay, so, let's refresh this. If I take this to a new tab and go to slash about, okay, so that is something now. Okay, anyway, so that's how it will work. Maybe we'll see this thing in our desktop application. Okay, fine. Let me minimize this. Okay, so here, okay, so what I have done is I have opened my Visual Studio Code in which I can see in desktop I created a folder called Flask test. Okay, it's empty folder. So we're going to start installing the Flask package here and then start editing the code. So before that, there is a concept of what is that, virtual environment. Okay, which means maybe this, if I start typing like pip install Flask, what it will do, it will try to install this Flask package globally in my system. Maybe assume I want this package only for this particular project, then I want some way to install this package only within this folder. Okay, so for that there is a way called pip env. So pip env, okay, then you type shell. So what it will do is actually it will try to create a virtual environment on that folder and it will create a shell terminal for you, and whatever the shell terminal it's creating, that is only for that folder. Okay, so any package you're installing, whatever it is, it belongs to that particular folder. It won't affect your global thing. Okay, so now you can see there is a virtual environment created, Flask test. Fine. So now what I'm going to do here, I want to say pip install Flask. So now you see when you do pip env shell, it created a file called pip file. If you open, currently it's having these details, and once we installed Flask, the package will come here. Okay, so now see it's installed. So if I come, okay, wait a minute. Okay, I don't know how to refresh this. Okay, anyway, let's close this, reopen. Okay, anyway, okay, let's go ahead and then see what happens. Okay, now we installed Flask in this package, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one file, call it as index.py. okay, so we're going to write the same code. So from Flask import capital Flask, okay, and app is equals to Flask of __ name. Okay, so then at app dot route, is it visible to you guys? How to zoom in? Oh, I did something wrong. Okay, anyway, so let's carry on. Slash. Okay, so define index, or basically the function will say return same way. Okay, so now in desktop I'm going to run it in a different way. So this is a convention also. So if __ name is equals to __ main. Okay, if you don't understand this, I will explain it maybe later point of the video. What is this __ name and __ main? So we're gonna say app dot run. Okay, so I'm not giving any port or anything here. Let's see what happens here. Okay, I'm gonna save this, and here we say python index.py. So here you can see by default it starts in your local host port 5000. Okay, so if you go to our local host 5000, okay, we see hello world here. Okay, Fine. Now let's do something extra. Okay, as usual, you can change the port or you want by giving a port equal to the number whatever you want. Okay, I'm gonna leave empty. Okay, so this is simple thing, right? But if you want to display the huge HTML page, we cannot give all the HTML elements in this return statement. So that is not we want, right? So what we can do? How do we display HTML into using Flask? Okay, assume I have a HTML page. How do I display it? So for that, what I'm going to create, there is a folder structure we need to make it. Okay, so in this base directory, I'm going to create a new folder, say templates. Okay, under the template, let me create a index.html. Okay, in index.html, I'm going to create some something. Okay, say here let's put h1. So hello from index. Okay, now let's save this. Now I want this index.html to be rendered if I call this slash URL. Okay, so for that, what we are going to do, instead of doing a return, we're going to say render underscore template. Okay, and inside index.html, and this render template is available in the Flask package, so let's import that also. Fine. So now how the Python knows is, or the render template knows, is because there is a predefined structure. Okay, it will look on the same directory templates folder, and inside the templates folder it will look for whatever the file name you are giving. Okay, in this case index.html. So now if you want to test this one, if I go to the browser and then refresh, it will not work because we need to reload the application. So instead of reloading every time, what I'm going to do here, there is a parameter called debug. Okay, debug is equal to true. Okay, now let's save this and let's stop this and start again. Now you see debug mode is equal to on. So what will happen whenever we do changes, it will auto reload. Okay, this will eliminate some restarting stuff. So if I refresh here, now we see hello from index. So what we have just seen is we can even render the HTML using the render template. Okay, cool. Let's do something extra. Okay, so here instead of hello from this thing, I'm going to say welcome user. Okay, user, save. Okay. Now I want the user to be displayed dynamically. Okay, so I want to pass the value from the controller to view, which means from the Python program to the HTML. Okay, how do we do that? Simply what we can do in the render template thing, which after you give the file name, then you can pass n number of variables. So here, say for example, I'm saying user equal to Yusuf. Okay, fine. Let's save this. Now what will happen? This user will be available in the index.html as a variable. Okay, or the okay, let it be variable. Okay, now we cannot change the value. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this syntax. Okay, two curly brace, and here I say user. Okay, let's save this and see result. We are getting the value. Okay, so we just see that we can even pass the variables from Python to the view, which is our HTML. Okay, and it is not that we can pass only one value, we can pass many values like this. Okay, age is equal to 29, say for example. So this age also I can get it here. Okay, so we got the result. Now the next thing is let's see a few more interesting things. Assume I have a list of students. Okay, I want to display all the students into the web page. Okay, so what I'm saying, like maybe I have students is equal to an array. Okay, so then okay, so this is the array. Now I'm going to pass this value into the view. Okay, so I'm saying that stud is equal to students. So wantedly I am giving like this, because just to make sure that you understand what it is. This student is actually the variable inside this Python, okay. But when I say stud is equal to students, then these students value will be available in the HTML file with the name of stud, okay. In index.html you have to refer that as stud only, okay, stud. So you should not refer it as students, but in general what they many people will do, right, they will have students equal to students, okay, and in HTML also they will refer as student. But you should make sure that the left hand side is actually your HTML variable, and the right hand side is actually your Python variable, okay. Fine, so let's save this to see what happens here. Okay, so what happened is that all the values directly came here, okay, but assume we want to display one by one, okay. So what we are going to do, let's see, I'm going to have OL, which is ordered list, okay, ordered list, correct. So LI is a list item, so I want each list item to be the student name, okay. So I'm going to run a for loop, okay. So for student in stud, so here the stud is actually the array and we are just using a for loop, okay, and whatever the student is coming, I'm going to display it like this, okay, student, okay, end for. So now to make this work, right, what we are doing here is called a Jinja template, okay. So how the syntax is, we need to do like this, okay. Let me open the brace and the percentage, okay, and here we have to close the same way, and also end for we have to start like that, end like that, okay. So now if you see, we whatever we are using with the curly brace is belongs to the Jinja template, okay. So any loops or if statement, anything should be starting with yeah, curly braces and the percentage sign and ending with percentage sign and closing curly brace, okay. And values, if you want to directly display, you have to use double curly brace, okay. Now if I just save this, okay, and come here, see the result. So we got the result like this, okay. So what we are doing is we are dynamically creating the HTML element based on the data what we have, okay. So these are some basic things what we can do with Flask. Surely we'll cover more things on our next video, and I'm not quite remember what I'm going to say, but we'll cover some of the partials. There's a concept of partials, okay, and then we'll see we'll try to create one RESTful web services, okay, by creating all the get, put, post, all the endpoints, or we can try to create a web application like getting the input from user and then responding with some data, those things, okay. But on the ground level, whatever you have seen is actually the basics of Flask, which means you are going to just write the code with just 5 lines of code, and then you can render template dynamically, and then you can pass variables or display it in condition basis and so on, okay. So I don't want to take much long for this first video, so I'm stopping here, but I hope you might have got the idea, and then it could have been interesting things for you, okay. So I'll be covering this series in a couple of things, and also meanwhile I'm trying to cover SQLite 3, okay. So SQLite 3 is simple database which is coming along with the Python, okay. So we'll learn how do we use it. So it's very simple, we no need a server and then those things, so we can just use our folder, and inside we can create a file. That file can act as a database, okay. That will be interesting one, and with that SQLite as a backend, we'll try to create some web application, okay. Yeah, so that's the end of this video. Meanwhile, I'm also not going to stop our IBM AS400 videos. I have few things in the lineup that will be coming up in the next week, okay. So yeah, that's it guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please like and share, okay. Thank you, bye.